Book of Heaven, Volume 23, October 2nd, 1927. How Adam was the holiest one before he sinned. Fullness and totality of goods of the acts done in the divine will, how they extend to all. The pupil of the eye invested by the sun. The creature in the divine will lends herself as matter and hides her creator. Example of the host. I was doing my round in the creation, to follow all the acts of the divine will which are in it. And as I arrived at Eden, in which God created the first man, Adam, in order to unite myself with him to that unity of wills which he possessed with God, in which he did his first acts in his first period of creation, I thought to myself, who knows what sanctity my first father Adam possessed, what value his first acts done in the kingdom of the divine fiat contained, and how can I impetrate a kingdom so holy upon earth again, as I am the only one occupied with obtaining a good so great? But while I was thinking of this, my always lovable Jesus came out from within my interior, sending rays of light, and that light converted into words, and he told me,
"My daughter, firstborn daughter of my will, I want to reveal to you, as daughter of my will, the sanctity of he who possessed the kingdom of my divine fiat. At the beginning of creation, this kingdom had its life, its perfect dominion, and its complete triumph. So it is not completely foreign to the human family, and because it is not foreign, there is all the sure hope for it to return again into their midst to reign and dominate. Now, you must know that Adam possessed such sanctity when he was created by God, and his acts, even the slightest, had such value that no saint, either before or after my coming upon earth, can be compared to his sanctity. And all of their acts together do not reach the value of one single act of Adam, because in my divine will, he possessed the fullness of sanctity, the totality of all the divine goods. And do you know what fullness means? It means to be filled to the brim, to the point of overflowing with light, sanctity, love, with all the divine qualities, in such a way as to be able to fill heaven and earth, over which he had dominion, and through which his kingdom extended. Therefore each one of his acts done in this fullness of divine goods had such value, that no one else, as much as he might sacrifice himself, suffer and do good, but does not possess the kingdom of my will and its total dominion, can be compared to one alone of these acts in the kingdom of my will. Therefore the glory, the love that Adam gave me as long as he lived in the kingdom of my divine volition, no one has given me, because in his acts he gave me fullness and totality of all goods, and only in my will can these acts be found. Outside of it they do not exist. Therefore Adam had his riches, his acts of infinite value, which my eternal will communicated to him before the divinity, because in creating him, God had left nothing empty within him, but everything was divine fullness, as much as a creature could contain. And when he fell into sin, these acts, these riches of his, this glory and perfect love which he had given to his Creator, were not destroyed. On the contrary, it is by virtue of them and of his operating done in my divine fiat that he earned the redemption. No, one who had possessed the kingdom of my will, even for a short time, could not remain without redemption. One who possesses this kingdom enters into such bonds and rights with God, that God himself feels with him the strength of his own chains that bind him, and he cannot get rid of him. Our adorable Majesty with Adam was in the same condition as a father who has a son who has been for him the cause of many conquests, of great riches, of incalculable glory. There is nothing the father possesses in which he does not find the acts of his son. He feels the glory and the love of his son resound everywhere. Now to his misfortune, this son falls into poverty. Can the father ever not have compassion for his son, as he feels, everywhere and in every place, the love, the glory, the riches with which his son has surrounded him? My daughter, by living in the kingdom of our will, Adam had penetrated into our boundaries, which are interminable, and he had placed his acts, his glory, his love for his Creator everywhere. And as our child, with the acts he emitted, he brought us our riches, our joys, our glory and love. His echo resounded in our whole being, as ours did in his. Now, in seeing him fallen into poverty, how could our love bear not having compassion on him, if our divine will itself lovingly waged war on us and pleaded for the one who had lived in it? Do you see, then, what living in my divine will means, its great importance? In it there is fullness of all divine goods and totality of all possible and imaginable acts. The soul embraces the whole of the divine being. She is in my will like the eye before the sun, which remains all filled with its light. And while the whole sun is reflected in the pupil of the eye, its light remains also outside of it, investing the whole person and covering the earth without departing from within the pupil. And while its light remains in the eye, it would want to bring the pupil into the sun, to let it go round the earth with itself, to let it do what the light does and receive its acts everywhere as attestation of love and glory. This is an image of the soul who lives in my will. My will fills her with such fullness as to leave no empty space within her, and since she is incapable of possessing the whole divine immensity, it fills her for as much as the creature can contain, and without separating from her, it remains outside of her, bringing the pupil of the will of the soul into the endlessness of its light, to let her do what my divine will does and receive the requital of her acts and of her love. Oh, power of my divine fiat operating in the creature who, letting herself be invested by its light, does not refuse its dominion and its kingdom. And if Adam deserved compassion, it was because the first period of his life was in the kingdom of the divine will. If the celestial sovereign lady, though she was alone, was able to obtain the coming of the Word upon earth, it was because she gave free field to the kingdom of the divine fiat within herself. If my very humanity was able to form the kingdom of redemption, it was only because it possessed the whole entireness and immensity of the kingdom of the eternal volition, because wherever it extends, it embraces everything. It can do anything, and there is no power against it that can constrain it. So, one alone who possesses the kingdom of my will is worth more than everything and everyone, and can earn and impetrate what all others together can neither earn nor obtain. Because all others together, however good, but without the life of my will in them, are always the little flames, the little plants, the little flowers which, at the most, serve to adorn the earth. They are subject to being extinguished and to wither, and the divine goodness can neither place great entrustments upon them, nor concede such portents as to do good to the entire world. On the other hand, one who lives in my will is more than sun, and just as the sun invests everyone with the empire of its light, it rules over the plants and gives life, color, fragrance, sweetness to each one of them. It imposes itself on everything with its tacit empire, to give it its effects and the goods it possesses, and no other sphere does so much good to the earth as the sun does. In the same way, those in whom my will lives are more than sun. And with the light which they contain, they lower themselves and then rise with rapidity. They penetrate everywhere, into God, into his acts. With the divine will which they possess, they rule over God himself and over creatures. They are capable of overwhelming everything to hold out the life of the light they possess to all. They are the bearers of their Creator, and they let the light walk ahead of them to impetrate and obtain and give whatever they want. Oh, if creatures knew such a great good, they would compete among themselves, and all passions would change into passion of light for living, only and always in that divine fiat which sanctifies everything, gives everything, and rules everything.
My poor mind continued to wander in the divine volition, and it marveled at the sublimeness, fullness, and totality of the acts done in it. And my beloved Jesus, moving in my interior, added,
My daughter, let your marvel cease. The living in my divine fiat is to operate in it. It is the transfusion of the creator into the creature, and there is an infinite distance between the divine operating and the operating of the creature alone. She lends herself to her God as matter, to let him operate great things, just as the matter of light lent itself to the divine fiat in creation, to let it form the sun, the heavens, the stars, the sea, all matters in which the supreme fiat resounded, and it manufactured the whole creation. A prodigy of it is the sun, the heavens, the sea, the earth, which were vivified and animated by the fiat, perennial and enchanting display of what my will knows how to do and can do. It happens with the soul as with the accidents of the host, which, though being matter, lends itself to let itself be animated by my sacramental life, as long as those same words spoken by me in instituting the most holy sacrament are pronounced by the priest. Those were words animated by my fiat, which contained the creative power, and this is why the matter of the host undergoes the transubstantiation of the divine life. One can pronounce as many words as one wants over the host, but if they are not those few words established by the fiat, my life remains in heaven, and the host remains the wretched matter that it is. So it happens with the soul. She can do, say, suffer whatever she wants, but if my divine fiat does not run inside of them, those are always finite and wretched things. On the other hand, for one who lives in it, her words, her works, her pains are like veils that hide the Creator, and the one who created heaven and earth makes use of these veils and makes of them works worthy of himself, placing in them his sanctity, his creative power, his infinite love. Therefore no one else, though he might do great things, can compare to that creature in whom my divine will lives, reigns, and dominates. Among creatures also it happens that, according to the material they have in their hands with which to form their works, so does the value which they possess and acquire vary. Suppose that someone has properties of iron. How much he has to work, sweat, and toil to render that iron soft, to give it the shape of the container he wants to make. And the earning he makes is so small that he can barely make a living. On the other hand, someone else has properties of gold, of precious stones. This one works, oh, how much less, but he earns millions. So it is not the work that brings great earning, exuberant riches, but the value of the material that one possesses. Someone works little and earns much because the material he possesses contains great value. Someone else works much, but because the material he possesses is wretched and of very little value, is always the poor ragged one, and his stomach half empty. So it happens to one who possesses my divine will. He possesses the life, the creative virtue, and his littlest acts contain a divine and immeasurable value. Therefore no one can equal his riches. On the other hand, one who does not possess my will as his own life is without life, and he works with the material of his own will, and therefore he is always the poor ragged one before God, and he is empty of that food which forms in him the fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven.
Thank you for being a part of our community here at Divine Will app. If you enjoy listening to Jesus' lessons on how to live in the divine will, please give this video a thumbs up. Your likes help us reach more souls yearning to live in the kingdom of the divine will. We'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections, so drop a comment below. Your insights not only enrich our community, but also inspire others on their spiritual journey. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By joining us, you're helping to spread the news of the kingdom of the divine will, so that together we can bring His kingdom to reign on earth as it is in heaven. In the divine will, always.